So apprentices, Unit 5 now, contribute to good working relationships. Let's have a look, shall we? This is a credit value of 4. So, 4 credits for this unit. About 30 hours of research, inputs, thoughts, and creating of the evidence for Unit 5. The aim of this unit is to enable you to work effectively with others during the production process. In particular is the main sort of focus of this unit, to show me how you can clarify, agree and revise working arrangements. So what that means is showing you understand the nuances and subtleties and the ways to work with different people, colleagues in a team in the creative media industry, in a production team. Here are the outcomes you will be looking into. So, you will be, first of all, for outcome 1, understanding how to agree working arrangements. So for this, what you need to be looking at is identifying key roles and tasks within the production process. And the production process is the creation of a creative media product, so whether that be an article, whether it be a graphic, whether it be a social media presence, whatever that process is, whatever that product is rather, that you create, video, audio, different forms of media. What are the key roles and tasks within that process of the creation of said product? To show me you understand, first of all, how to agree working arrangements. So who outlines and decides the working arrangements? Often the line manager. So what are the key roles and tasks in a production process? Use your own role as an example of this. Maybe a project that you've worked on perhaps. So the key roles, who are the main players in a particular project that you've worked on recently or are working on currently? What are the tasks within that to help you get that project done? So storyboarding, planning, scripting, risk assessments, mind mapping, meetings, pitches. What are the tasks that you need to do as you work through the production process, which then of course includes things like editing, watching back rushes if it's video, analysing the actual content, reflecting on it, getting feedback before handing it in, and then it being signed off. What are the key roles and tasks when you create a product? 1.2 asks you to outline how to clarify, agree and revise working arrangements in a way that promotes good working relationships. So this here asks you to give me a list almost to outline how to clarify. How would you clarify who's doing what? Would it be in a meeting? Would it be in an open and frank discussion with the team? Would it be according to your specific skill set? How would it be organised? How would you clarify who's doing what? How would you agree? Would it be a line manager's decision or would it be based on what you want to do? Tell me, how do you revise and adapt and show that you are agile, flexible and adaptable to working arrangements throughout a project? Do you reflect on it as it proceeds, or is it someone's responsibility and they're assigned to it and they have to see it through? So tell me how you clarify who's doing what, how you agree who's doing what, and how you revise who is doing what in a way that promotes good working relationships. How do you do this without treading on toes or hurting the egos of the people you work with? How do you do it so everyone's happy, doing what they want to do? How do you do it so that people are supported and looked after? For outcome 2, it asks you to understand how to communicate effectively with colleagues. Now, this is crucial, as I'm sure many of you are finding in your roles. Communicating effectively with your colleagues. So explain the importance of balancing the needs and tasks of people. If someone's busy and has got a lot on in their personal life, or if they're going through a rough patch in their life, they need support and help, maybe they're new to a role or uncomfortable doing something, why is it important to balance the needs and tasks and people in a team? Why is it important to be fair and make sure that people have the same amount of work? Why is it important to make sure that people are treated in a differentiated, balanced, equal and diverse manner? Explain why that's important. Explain why the sharing of information with colleagues is important as well for 2.2. Why is it important to share information with colleagues in a way that is clear to everybody? Why is it important everybody's kept in the loop? Is it important? How do you do that? What's the best way to do that? For 2.3, identify ways of tactfully requesting others to change their working arrangements. If someone isn't pulling their weight, or if someone isn't doing what they're supposed to be doing, or isn't hitting expectations, isn't working in a productive way, what are tactful, subtle ways that don't hurt the ego of these people, but at the same time get them to adjust and revise their working arrangements to improve productivity? What are ways of doing that? Quite difficult to answer that one. 2.4, describe how to explain own decisions clearly and constructively. So in a project, you're going to be explaining decisions clearly and constructively throughout your career. So I want you to tell me for this particular bit, how do you do it clearly? How can you explain a decision you've made that will impact upon budget, that will impact upon time, that will impact upon the resources, that will impact upon the end projects, that will affect the reputation of your team in particular? How can you explain clearly that this is why you've done what you've done? Perhaps it's providing examples, perhaps it's providing facts and evidence and stats and research to back up what you are doing succinctly and to the point. How do you do it constructively in a way that pushes things forward? 2.5, describe how to resolve conflict, situations or dissatisfaction in a team. Being open and frank and collaborative, speaking to your line manager. Any issues that you've encountered in your career so far? How do you resolve these issues? 2.6, how do you explain the importance of liaison with colleagues to productivity? So liaison, working with your colleagues to productivity, why is that important to liaise and to work with them and to be honest, to be productive? The last outcome asks you to be able to develop and maintain good working relationships during the production process. Now, it's stressful, isn't it? Working on a project with your friends, teammates, colleagues, clients, whoever it might be. How do you clarify, make clear who's doing what, agree who's doing what, and revise who's doing what, and promote good working relationships? So how do you do it? How do you clarify, agree, revise these working arrangements to promote good working relationships? Tell me what you do. For 3.2, communicate your own decisions clearly and constructively. How do you communicate your own decisions clearly and constructively? Give examples. 3.3, resolve any conflict situations or dissatisfaction as necessary. So again, outcome 3 is all about you doing this. How do you resolve any conflict situations or dissatisfaction as necessary? Anonymise your peers and your workmates, but tell me about situations where you've done this, resolved any arguments or conflict or tension or dissatisfaction. And lastly, 3.4, how have you liaised with appropriate colleagues to ensure effective and productive working? How have you worked with your teammates to make sure that you're working effectively, efficiently, economically with your resources and time to be productive? That is what you need to do for outcomes 1, 2, and 3. Any issues, please let me know.